Hello, folks. This story was sent to me by a subscriber and is intended for educational purposes only. Thank you for watching. 7 grams magic mushroom. The electric jellyfish and the moonlit bananas. It started on a Tuesday evening. The kind of night where the air feels thick with secrets and your brain is just begging for a little adventure. I had about 7 grams of these wild magic mushrooms, freshly dried, but still smelling like the damp forest floor after a rain. My friend Cassie and I decided to brave the trip together, a choice I'd come to question as soon as the mushrooms hit. We were in my tiny apartment, surrounded by odd trinkets and half-empty coffee mugs. But the atmosphere felt charged, like the whole room was waiting to wake up and start talking. The first hour was a slow creep, colors deepening and edges blurring, like the world was starting to liquefy and melt into something else. I was lying back on my couch when the walls suddenly started breathing. Not just a subtle expansion, but full-on inhaling and exhaling, like the apartment was alive and slowly filling its lungs with the sticky night air. Cassie laughed nervously, whispering about the houseplants conspiring, and I couldn't help but notice the fern in the corner was definitely swaying, even though no breeze existed. Then things took a wild turn. The ceiling peeled away like a giant lid, revealing an endless electric ocean of jellyfish, pulsating in neon pinks and blues. They floated just inches above us, their tendrils dancing and lighting up the room with a soft bioluminescence. Cassie tried to touch one, but her hand passed right through, leaving ripples in the glowing waves. The jellyfish seemed to hum a melody, a sort of cosmic lullaby that whispered directly to my spine. Well, I blinked, and suddenly the jellyfish were replaced by bananas. Not just any bananas, but moonlit bananas that hovered midair, glowing with silvery light and occasionally shooting out tiny sparks like little banana fireworks. Cassie grabbed one, but as she peeled it, instead of fruit, a swarm of miniature fireflies burst out, filling the room with twinkling golden light. We both started giggling uncontrollably, watching the fireflies zigzag around us, their little bodies pulsing like tiny stars. The fireflies led us to a window, where the night sky was alive, with constellations rearranging themselves into giant smiling faces. The moon winked at me, its crescent shape stretching into a goofy grin. Suddenly, the stars began to fall slowly, like glitter raining down, landing on my skin and warming me up in a way that felt like a hug from the universe itself. Cassie, meanwhile, was fascinated by the wallpaper, which was now morphing into a living jungle. Tiny vines curled around the furniture, and flowers bloomed instantly, releasing scents that made my head swim. One flower whispered my name in a sultry voice, and I swear it was flirting with me. I tried to talk back, but all that came out was a series of squawks and chirps, as if I'd become part bird. Cassie burst out laughing, her eyes sparkling with delight and terror. Suddenly, gravity went haywire. We both floated off the couch, rising gently into the air, like we were swimming through molasses. The room tilted and spun slowly, turning into an underwater spaceship piloted by neon sea creatures wearing tiny pilot hats. The captain, a giant glowing octopus, pointed a tentacle at me and said telepathically, "Welcome aboard the SS Psychedelia." Cassie and I nodded seriously, pretending to understand the complicated rules of this jellyfish-infested cosmos. The octopus captain started playing an invisible theremin, and the music turned into a strange techno beat that made my bones buzz. The bananas reappeared, now riding tiny waves on a glittering river that flowed through the walls. They sang a pop song about bananas and space travel, their voices sweet and slightly off-key, turning the whole trip into a bizarre musical. I tried to take a sip of water, but found my glass had turned into a tiny aquarium with a school of psychedelic fish darting inside. Cassie's hands turned translucent, like glass sculptures, reflecting the jellyfish's neon lights. I felt like I was melting into the floor, but in the most pleasant way possible, becoming one with the fabric of reality itself. At one point, I looked down at my own feet and saw they'd transformed into little dancing mushrooms, hopping rhythmically to the beat. Cassie's fingers were now sprouting tiny flowers that bloomed with each twitch. Our conversation became a mix of laughter, gibberish, and shared telepathic jokes that only made sense in the context of this underwater space jungle. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the jellyfish and bananas and stars all vanished, replaced by the mundane sight of my living room ceiling. I floated down gently, the room steadying itself. The magical creatures had left, but their presence lingered in the glow behind my eyes, and the smile plastered across Cassie's face. As the trip mellowed, we lay back on the couch, exhausted and grinning like lunatics. The plants had stopped moving. The stars were just stars again, and the bananas were simply fruit on the kitchen counter. But the room felt different, alive in a quieter, more mysterious way. That night, I dreamed of electric oceans and banana fireworks, knowing that somewhere beneath the surface of everyday reality, the weird and wonderful creatures were still waiting to greet me on my next trip. And that was the night I realized the universe is just one giant, glowing, trippy party, and we're all invited, whether we're ready or not.